So here's a little video on SV Darkfin of our Schenker Zen30 Watermaker install. I'm not going to show you a video of drilling holes and pulling tubes. Anybody can do that. This video is more intended of why we bought a Schenker Zen30. So we looked at quite a few Watermakers and kind of like 8-track cassette argument. You could get energy, what they call the energy hog, piston driven, that make a lot of water in a short period of time, but they do draw a lot of power. Or you can get an energy efficient, such as the Schenker Zen. They're energy recovery units that make less water, but they're very much efficient. So when you look at the amps per gallon, the Schenker that we chose is pretty good. We're looking at pretty much just over an amp a gallon. Whereas you look at the energy hog ones and it's like 40 amps. Well, not quite that, but to make 40 gallons of our water, you're using 90 amps. Whereas we can make 8 gallons of water on 9 amps. So the gallons per hour, do the math, the energy recovery are far more efficient, like twice as efficient, but it takes more time. So we kind of looked at it. To make a lot of water quickly, the applications are good when you need it, but then you don't need your water maker for 3-4 days if your tanks are topped up. And then having them sit there, you gotta worry about them, flush them, everything else. Whereas if you just top your tanks up daily, then you're using your water maker daily, and you don't have to worry about the issues when they sit when the membranes sit idle. Our particular boat carries a lot of tankage. We have just under 300 gallons, imperial gallons, so we can go for a long period of time. So you could argue, pickle the water maker, which is expensive and a pain, and then make a whole pile of water when you need it, once a month kind of idea. Could have went that route. Or the other way of just when our solar's topped up our batteries from whatever consumption we used over the nighttime, just turn on the water maker. So basically zero draw on the battery bank because it's going right from the solar into the water maker. We sort of looked at all of it, and we don't want to get a generator to run a piston driven pump. We would pretty much need some sort of generator. No way around it. We could make water while motoring and run it off our inverter, but that's pretty well going to max out all the power that we're generating when we're motoring just to make water, which is doable, but I don't know. It's one of those arguments. Either way would have worked. So we chose the Schenker Zen30. I think it'll meet our needs of, we haven't needed a generator in the 20-some years we've owned the boat. We have currently 600 watts of solar. We have the ability to put another 400 watts, minimum, up on top of the Dodger, so we can always continue with the solar. Just don't want to go down that rabbit's hole of putting in something that draws a lot of energy, and now all of a sudden, I need a high output alternator, and the belts and pulleys that go with it, and that expense. Or whereas if we have to add a little bit more solar, that works in the long run, which we shouldn't have to. We've always been able to top up our batteries here in the Pacific Northwest and during cruising season by early afternoon, and then it's just free energy after that. So this is the route we went. So when it comes to the Schenker, again, not going to show you a video of all the bits and bobs, but basically for the kit, a very complete kit, you just need to buy hoses, but we had to do a couple modifications. The through hull that we're utilizing is already in the boat. It was the intake, the raw water intake for the aft head. We switched to a composting toilet a while ago, so it was just sitting there, so we decided to use it. It has a 1-inch outlet, and we're not hauling the boat to basically change the through hull to the 3/4 inch that the kit is set up for. So basically what we did was we picked up a piece of 1-inch potable water hose. It's also Shields 148, Trinit 148. It's /sanitation/ potable water hose. So we basically are going to come off the through hull with that, and then basically we just had to modify the raw water intake and put a 1-inch fitting on this end, and then we went with 3/4 on that end. The kit has fittings for 5/8. So don't exactly like using brass onto plastic, but got lots of thread tape, and these are proper marine brass fittings from a marine store, not your local home or underwear type do-it-yourself store, which I wouldn't trust anything below the water line other than quality marine components. So we had to pick up some 1-inch hose for that, and this is going to be mounted right close to the sea strainer, which is what they recommend. And then, like I said, we went with 3/4-inch hose from there, only because that's what the local suppliers have, and we have a pretty long run, so we decided to upsize a bit. So this is Shields 147, I believe, 146. It's a proper hose for vacuum application. And that's going to bring it into the Watermaker. So a couple of modifications we made, and the kit comes with all sorts of fittings. So we've been able to do pretty much everything here with the kit parts. So the only thing we changed is when you look at, what's right there, that is how these parts came. So what we decided to do, given our application, is we moved the one-way valve right on to the end here. So there's enough bits and bobs in the kit. Again, we had to go with 3/4-inch brass here and not the supplied 5/8, only because we're using a 3/4-inch line. That was our choice. And raw water intake comes in there. That's your carbon filter. That's the valve and the one-way valve. So basically what happens is we're going to run this hose right from our sea strainer through our bilge, and that connects right into here, and that's where the raw water comes in through the one-way valve, and then it goes off to the pump. And then when you're doing a flush cycle, you energize this valve, which then allows your raw water to come through here, or sorry, your fresh water supply, your house supply, and then that goes off through the pump. So we just made it all one complete unit. And of course there's a valve here so that you can close this. Now your fresh water supply, your pump's not going to kick in when you change the filter. So that worked for us. Again, the only modification was we went with 3/4. That was our choice. All the parts were here. And then when it goes through to the pump, I'm not going to show you the pump at this time. It comes out of the pump and comes into your filter, 5-micron filter, and it comes up into here, through here, accumulator, and off it goes to the Watermaker unit itself. The only thing we don't like about this right now is because our pump is going to be on this side, our hose is going to have to come around, go kind of underneath into there, through this system, and then off to our Watermaker. So it's a bit backwards. We have the ability to change that bracket, so we could just flip that around so it comes in, goes out, but now this would be on the wrong side, and I believe you need this for the support. It looks like you can disassemble it and just flip it around, let out the air pressure, flip it around, and then repressurize to the recommended pressure, which you're supposed to check every once in a while anyways. So we'll probably do that in the future, just not right now because it's a new install and we don't want to add any doubts if something doesn't work. We don't want to add to the troubleshooting list. So at a later time we'll just flip that around. As far as the kit goes, again, all the components are here. This is if you want to move the pressure gauge to a different orientation depending on your mounting. But the only thing that was interesting is it has a T-valve with your 5/8 fittings, 16 mil, that are 1/2-inch threaded, which we would use to bring fresh water into our boat. This is basically how our system's going to go. And then a short little water line to there, which we're just using normal water line hose for the pressures. But they don't have another little piece here. Everything else is 3/4 inch. So they have a T fitting, but no half-inch fitting. And nowhere did we use it when we change things around. Like there's one over here, but that's kind of how this came. So anyways, would have been nice if they had one more half-inch threaded barb here. No big deal. Just went to the local store and picked up one of these for a couple $. So not a big deal. That's how we're going to use it. It's going to tee into our fresh water supply, which we'll show you the completed project later. So I had to pick this up extra, and the only other thing is this tubing. This is for your product water that goes into your tank. The manual says it's 1/4 inch. That's nice. It's actually 1/4 inch inside diameter. We're sort of used to when they say 1/4 inch tubing, they're talking about the outside diameter. So I'd pre-purchased a little couple of parts, which of course now don't fit because they just don't fit. So what comes with the kit is this fitting here, which is push to connect, which goes on the end there, and then this threads 1/4 inch tap and goes into the top of your tank. But we don't have that sort of clearance where our tank is. We need it on a right angle. So it would have been nice if the kit came with another one of these, because they're hard to find. This 5/16 outside diameter or 8mm. Not exactly an off-the-shelf product around here because everything's 1/4 inch, which is the outside diameter, as I mentioned. So what I had to pick up again from the local store is just right angle. So that's just going to go into there, water line, and that's going to thread and tap into our tank. So pretty minor. That's basically the extra parts we had to pick up for this kit, other than of course the hose, all your tubing, which you know that going in, and then like I said, we had a couple of different parts only because we changed the sizing. We changed the sizing to fit our application. So pretty complete kit. So we will show you how it all goes together, and I'll actually do the math on the water production, just so you know. For your choices, whether you go a lot of water quickly, using a lot of energy, or just let it use the sun and trickle in and use it daily, which that's the route we went. And this Schenker certainly meets that need. So very impressed. Again, pretty minor gripe. Make this right angle as an option. 1/2 inch T. Make it usable with another barb. So can't complain. And of course, what we learned, the tubing's 8mm or 5/16. It's not 1/4 inch as we know it, but pretty minor. And I'll show you how we're going to do the valving so we can test product water. The valves still have yet to arrive. Should be here by the end of the week because, of course, I pre-bought 1/4 inch valves, which don't work. So minor. Later.